Hi everyone, this is Steve Namaseevayum from iPass. I'm the Senior Director for our Supplier Relationship Management team. Today I'll be giving you the Q2 Global Wi-Fi Network update. Just in terms of housekeeping, we'll be taking questions at the end, and the presentation will be made available to all attendees as well. Okay. So if we start with first off, just talking about how we put our network together. We have some definitions. At the top you can see we're talking about community hotspots. So these are our partnerships with companies like Xfinity, Comcast, BT, Orange and Portugal Telecom. Today that stands at around 43 million hotspots, just shy of. What we're talking about here in terms of these hotspots are basically sort of private residential properties where the router inside the home broadcasts two SSIDs, one for the owner and the other for general public, and that is where iPass is effectively obtaining access. Okay. And then we have commercial hotspots. So these are more public commercial locations such as airports, in-flight Wi-Fi we categorize as a commercial hotspot, hotels, conference center, restaurants, cafes and so forth. We have 2.77 million hotspots, commercial hotspots today in the network. These are the types of locations where basically, if you didn't have the iPass service, you would have to subscribe into the network yourself. In quite often, you'd have to pay for the Wi-Fi, or you cannot actually get into the network in certain situations as well. Okay. And then the final categorizations are curated hotspots. So these are free Wi-Fi hotspots globally. There's about 20 million of these. Effectively, what's happening here is that the iPass technology is identifying these free hotspots and making them part of the network. So again, you don't have to do anything to log on to these hotspots. In addition to this, what iPass is doing is overlaying additional security measures such as last mile VPN, the VPN service itself for your corporate, as well as our encryption, username and password technology. Okay. Moving forward, we're just tracking the growth over the last 4 years of the network. So you can see that it's gone up dramatically. Today we stand at about 65 million. 4 years ago, we were looking at about 2.2 million. And then you can see where these hotspots are globally as well. So in the Americas and in Europe, it's roughly 30 million hotspots each. And then in Australia and Oceania, 2.6 nearly, and then 1.7 million in Asia and the Middle East. Okay. And then finally in Africa, we have about 50,000 hotspots. And then we'll talk a bit about the different venue types. So you can see, we show the numbers in airports. We're approaching 700 airports. We'll talk about that in a bit more detail in a moment. Where we are in flight, we're approaching 5,000. Hospitality or hotels around 80,000. Local businesses 20 million, and in community hotspots it's around 42 million. And restaurants and cafes and so forth, it's about 114,000. And as you know, iPass doesn't actually build networks themselves. We're virtual in that sense. So in terms of when it actually comes to building this network of 65 million hotspots, we work with partners. We have roaming agreements in place with about 150 different partners. On this slide here, we're just showing you regionally, who some of those partners are. So yeah, in the UK, for example, we work with BT. In Germany, Deutsche Telekom. In North America, I mentioned Xfinity, Comcast. We also have AT&T, and also when it comes to Inflight, United, and GoGo. And then a little bit about our airport coverage. So we have coverage in close to 700 airports worldwide. Those include 20 of the busiest airports globally, according to Business Insights. And we're just showing you here some of those top 5: so Atlanta, Peking, Dubai, Tokyo Haneda and LAX, Los Angeles International Airport. On in-flight Wi-Fi, so this is one of the fastest venue types in terms of growth for us, in terms of both usage and in terms of aircraft and airlines. So you can see that we have 44 airlines today. It's 4,800 planes nearly. Here I'm just showing you some of the popular brands. In the top right-hand corner, you can see some of the partners that we have to work with to obtain access to those airlines as well. And then moving forward to hospitality. So this has been traditionally a very strong menu type for iPass when it comes to the amount of usage that hotels drive. So if you think about basically the dwell time that you may have, an hour or two in the evening and sometime in the morning, or if you're there for a conference, if you're on a business trip or leisure trip, you can spend quite a bit of time in the hotel. So the actual Wi-Fi connectivity is, particularly important. So here we're just showing you some of the key brands that we work with as well. Okay. And moving forward, we'll talk a bit about what the growth plans are for the network next. So I want to talk about United Airlines first. So at the moment, we have signed a contract with United Airlines, and we're currently in the process of installing and integrating those aircraft to support iPass. So our current launch plan is that by the end of October, we'll start to roll out more United aircraft. This particular implementation will mean that iPass is supported on around 700 aircraft as well. Okay. And then through one of our other partners, Panasonic, we're working to integrate in the October timeframe as well, about 345 planes. So here we're just sharing with you some of those airlines. And then other venue types, so across the globe, in terms of our in-flight coverage, we are working on more partnerships with airline partners and with systems integrators that work with the airline partners, particularly in the US, in the Middle East and Asia Pacific. So these are deals that we're working on right now. Not able to share the names of who we're working with right now, just due to confidentiality and NDA provisions. But as these things mature, and we do have contracts, we can disclose a bit more information. Okay. In terms of commercial footprint, we're also looking to expand in the US, certain markets in Europe, and then India, Brazil, Canada, Argentina, Russia, and Singapore as well. Okay. So finally, want to mention hospitality. So I mentioned earlier, drives a lot of usage for us. So we are planning to add more hotels to the footprint. We are working with a major brand, it's Marriott, to add more hotels, particularly in the Americas, in the US market. So several thousand hotels that we'd be looking to add in the US. Okay. So just to summarize where we are and what we do actually. So the footprint we've talked about today. So we're 65 million hotspots, plus. We're present in more than 180 markets today with more than 100 network partners. And just to summarize, the footprint is indeed a very important part of what we do. We try to make that footprint as meaningful as possible and make sure that we're in the places that our customers go to. But effectively, that footprint has to be augmented with the rest of our service, Smart Connect. So our subscription model service is what really sort of complements the footprint to deliver that seamless, invisible, always-on experience. Okay. I believe that brings us to the end, so we can open up things for questions. Also, presentation will be sent out if we don't capture anything today, or if you have any questions, you can contact your account manager or email sales@ipass.com. Okay, thank you. Alex, any questions come through?
None have come in yet.
Okay, let's give folks a few minutes.
Hey, Steve, we've got a question from Natalia. She asks, are you going to start working with Passpoint?
Yes, we are. So Passpoint is definitely in the plan. In fact, so our client technology, we're striving to basically support Passpoint fully. We're in the process of working along. It sounds like Natalia knows a little bit about this space, but we're supporting some of the different EAT methods today. But the plan is to fully support Hotspot 2.0 in the future as well. So let me just take a step back, just in case some of the audience or the attendees don't understand what Passpoint is. So if you think about the actual technology flavor, and maybe likening it a little bit to GSM technologies and LTE, then Passpoint is the new wave of Wi-Fi technology that's been in progress for the last few years, and it's starting to become a realization. And what it will do is deliver on that sort of promise of seamless, more secure, Wi-Fi technology that behaves a bit more like cellular. Okay, so it's a different technical network protocol to what iPass and most of the other players in the Wi-Fi ecosystem have been playing with over the last 15 years. But effectively, it should improve the user performance and security and other networks as well. So my role at iPass, I manage the technical teams as well that do all of our network integrations with our partners such as BT and Deutsche Telekom and Comcast. So we're having to go through a wave of new network integrations right now. The thing I would say is that basically, if you look at if you did a market assessment of the networks out there, and for that sake, the devices, not everything is Passpoint ready. So of our 100+ partners, only a very small percentage or number of them can fully support Passpoint. So it's going to be an ongoing process for us to support certain technical protocols such as the ones I mentioned, such as EAP and TTLS and SIM. So that's going to be a process, an ongoing process for us. So quick up in terms of where we are today, we've integrated about 10 networks so far this year to the EAP method, and we're in the process of integrating a further 10, and then we have about another 10 in a hopper to attack after that. And we're going after the most strategic networks first that drive the most usage or in the most important places for us. Okay.
Steve, we've got another one, another question from Stefan. He asks, can you share some info on average usage per user per month on Wi-Fi and in-flight?
Yeah, we do have some stats on this. Off the top of my head, I can't tell you what it is, so we'll have to follow up with Stefan afterwards. I think the typical usage that I saw, and it does vary between long haul and short haul. As you can imagine, on a long haul flight, it's lower. It's higher. So I think typically on a flight, it was about 140 megabytes short haul and about 180 on a long haul. But if we can get Stefan's details, we can follow up with them separately. Okay.
Steve, it looks like that's it for questions.
Okay. So we'll go back to Stefan on his question regarding in-flight usage. So folks, thanks everybody for attending. If there are any other questions that arise, after we finish, then please don't hesitate to reach out to me or Alex if you have our contact details, or your account manager, or email sales@ipass.com, and we'll come back to you. Thanks again, and you have a great day ahead.